あれを見て生きて帰ってこれたとはね。我が弟子ながら大したものだ。
It really is something, isn't it?
でも、けじめはつけなきゃならないんだよ。破門だ。
Ooh.
先生。
ある。お世話になりました。
Oh, wow. Wow, that's some opening, isn't it? Though, I think, you know, he understands. And specifically, Beasts of Dublith.
また近くに来たら寄れよ。
でも僕たち。
バカ野郎！先生でも弟子でもなくなったってことは、
Family.
これからは一人の人間として対等に接するってことだ。
先生！
Huge!
物ずら下げて戻ってきた！何が先生だ！貴様らなんぞ弟子と思わん！とっとと帰れ！先生！
僕たち元の体に戻る手がかりを得にここに来たんです。
手ぶらでは帰れません！帰れ！
嫌です。
アルは真理を見なかったんだね。
はい。
Ooh.
何のことかさっぱり。
ショックで記憶が飛んでいるのかもしれないね。
Ah.
記憶を戻してみようか。全身を持ってかれてるんだ。あれを見ていないはずがない。
支払った通行料の多さで言うなら、アルが一番真理に詳しいはずだ。
じゃあ、
Wow.
その時の記憶が戻れば、
Wow.
体を取り戻す手がかりが。
しかしあれの記憶か。
あれね。
なんかやばい。
やばいっていうかすごい。
なんかすごい。
精神がいかれるかも。
下手すりゃ廃人。
Wow, okay.
それでも手がかりがつかめるならそれにすがりたい。
記憶を戻す方法を私の知人に聞いてみよう。だがその前にご飯だ。手伝いな。
はい。
間違いねえ。あいつが魂を
Oh,
したやつだ。
oh man. Oh, this is the lizard man. That theme.
チェック。最後にやっと勝てました。
この一生は鮮烈だ。
ケイン・フィリー総長、バトー・ファルマン準尉、
His own
ハイマンス・ブレダ少尉、ジャン・ハボック少尉、
Havoc, yeah. And,
リザ・ホークアイ
of
中尉。
course, the ever-present.
以上5名。私と共にセントラ
Gotta
ル
have your own crew. People you can
文
trust.
句は言わせん。ついてこい。大佐、マジっす。
Bring her. Or try at least.
別れろ。
Ooh, Scar? It's gotta be.
またかよ。まだ傷口も塞がってないってのに。
シフ。
Ooh.
国家錬金術師を殺して回っているそうだわ。
He's not gonna like that, is
恨
he?
みたい気持ちはわかる。
But that's not the right approach.
確かに我らの村を焼き滅ぼしたのは国家錬金術師だ。
I saw a glimpse of it.
しかし復讐は新たな復讐の芽を育てるだけだ。そんな不毛な連鎖は早々に断ち切らねばならん。
行くあてのないあんたをここのみんなを家族のように。
うるさい。お前たちイシュバール人と一緒でするな。
Ah!
私は再びのし上がるのだ。のし上がってのし上がって。
I know that voice.
エドワード・エルリックを追い落とすのだ。さあ、お二方、やっちゃってください。
引き分けのいいやつだ。
Whoa!
てめえ何しやがって。神に祈る間をやろう。
He's so goddamn cool.
何が神だ。なもん。
Oh wow.
待って、来ないで。私が悪い。
Bonchan.
兄が悲しむぞ。もう後戻りはできぬのです。
He's put something into motion now. Yeah, that lizard man. He's trying to mess with them. The Devil's Nest? Maybe not go to the Devil's
来
Nest?
たぞ。
Whoa, new characters.
おめえはいくつよ。
14。
14たらもう一人で考えて行動できる年だろ。先生がとかいつまでも言ってちゃダメだぞ。
そうか、自分で考えなきゃね。
そうとも。だから俺たちと。
Shit.
お邪魔するわよ。
Whoa.
ちょっとおとなしくしなさい。どう？中から体を動かされる気分は。
Wow.
こんなことしたって。
そいつらはキメラ。 俺の手下だ。
Oh, yeah. It's gotta be one of the desires. Or sins.
Fullmetal Alchemist.
Greed, okay.
ありえないなんてことはありえない。現にお前の中にいるこの姉ちゃんは蛇と合成されたキメラだ。俺の後ろにいるロア、お前なんだっけ？牛？ええ。
第一誰が合成に成功したっていうのさ。
軍だよ。
そんな。
ちなみに俺はキメラじゃね
え。
Yeah. ホムンクルスだ。
ホムンクルス？
知ってるだろ？人工的に作られた人間。
Sins.
それが俺だ。
ホムンクルス。
ホムンクルスが成功したなんて話聞いたことがない。
There's a few of them actually.
なんてことするんだ。
Ouroboros. Ouroboros.
わかったが、ありえないなんてことはありえない。何よりお前
Never
の
say never.
存在がそれを証明してるだろ。魂だけの存在のお前がよ。
どうしてそれを。
俺の耳には裏の世界のことは大抵入ってくる。個人の魂だけを錬成し、他のものに定着させる。やりようによっては永遠の命を手に入れられる。違うか？俺はグリード。強欲だからよ。金も欲しい。女も欲しい。地位も名誉もこの世の全てが欲しい。そして永遠の命もだ。200年近く生きてはいる。だが不死身ってわけでもねえんだ。
教えてやってもいいですぜ。弟さんの秘密を教えてくれたら。
兄さん、この人ホムンクルスだ。
ホムンクルス。
クルス。
ホムンクルス。
いきなりバラすなよ。
だから僕たちが元の体に戻るヒントを持ってるかもしれない。
連中と仲間だってんなら直接聞けよ。
連中？
その入れ墨をした連中が第五研究所にいた。そこで鎧に魂を定着したやつと会った。
そうなの？お前ら二人は肉体を取り戻したい。
おう
そうだな。俺はお前にホムンクルスの製造方法を教え
That's
る。
really enticing.
その代わり、お前は俺に魂の錬成方法を教えろ。10日交換ってやつさ。
魂の錬成方法だ。んなもんミジンコ一匹分もくれてやれ、バルバル。アクトは戻る、どつく、離からもぎ取る。すなわち俺の総取り。10日交換の必要。
Yeah, I was gonna say quite the show.
ちょっと待て。
ちょっと待って。That's. Oh, that looks great. Look at this.
いや、体は普通なんだけど、ちょいと再生能力が過ぎるのと、ちょっと武男になるんで、あんまり見せたくねえんだよ。
The ultimate shield. All over his body.
お前は俺に傷一つつけることができねえ。
Look at this character design. Oh, wow. Yeah, he kind of beat down.
死んだか。これでもうおとなしく寝てろ。
Ooh.
何パターンならこんなもん。何をしやがった。
炭素原子は結合の度合いによって鉛筆の芯からダイヤモンドにまで硬さを変える。そこまで分かりゃ、あとは錬金術の分野だ。
Ah, how about that?
交 化と再生を一度にすることはできない。
ただのちょっとつぼしなバカガキかと思ったが、だがその体であと何回攻撃できる。
Backup's about to show up.
はい、ちょっと失礼するよ。こんな
Yeah, he's gonna.
俺は女と戦う趣味や。
Yeah. Oh. How about that?
てめえ、一体何者だ。
通りすがりの
Housewife? Oh, okay. That flew by. Okay, so, first of all, I've got to say that these episodes are just kind of flashing by, right? Just zooming by. Wow. Yeah. I certainly, like I mentioned, I've mentioned in the comments, and I've said it before, of course, the goal is certainly to get to these a little bit quicker, right? And seeing how quickly they kind of flash by, and I'm speaking of each episode, I certainly need to get to more of them much quicker. I mean, listen, there's a lot of anime that I plan on getting to, right? In the next few years. So yeah, of course, in anime this long, I cannot continue in this scheduling, essentially. It's got to come out a bit faster. I've got to move along, right? I've got to keep it moving. And, once I kind of get a flow going at this new place, I'll then attempt to add another episode to get them out a bit quicker and to get to the episodes a bit quicker. As you saw, it kind of snuck up on me again, and I wasn't ready for it to end just now. And of course, the actual ending, it's an interesting spot to kind of end it off on, the cliffhanger. But yeah, I certainly want to get to these a bit faster. But the episode itself, I liked it. I really enjoyed that episode. Greed, one of the new sins. That should leave 3 more, right? I've seen lust, envy. I've seen gluttony and greed. That leaves pride, wrath, and sloth, right? 3 more. 3 more. And, I feel like I do have an idea of who one of those could be, right? I'm not sure the exact one, but like one of them, I feel like I kind of have a strong feeling about this. And that comes from the fact that I've already linked this character to this side, right? That clearly this character has been up to something, that he's a part of all of this. And I'm speaking of the one right at the top, right? I've discussed this in the last few episodes. And I'm speaking of Bradley. I think there's a possibility he himself also could be this shit, I forgot already. Homunculus. Yes, I'll mess that up a few times, but I'll get the hang of it. And then, of course, you have greed, alluding to the fact that, there's connections. And, he knew about the Elric brothers. He knew about Al and his big secret, right? A soul attached to a suit of armor. Though, I've got to say, I actually really enjoyed Greed. I liked him. And I liked his crew, his squad. And, notice how he actually has a relationship with this group of his. There is a connection there. There is a bond there almost, right? I kind of really enjoyed them, the back and forth, right? I mean, the trust there, right? The guy, I can't remember his name, the older chimera, who was made from a cow. And, that made sense as well because, he's the stockish, brutish figure, brute force, just takes off Greed's head. Greed trusts him, right? Clearly, he's done it before. They've built this trust over a number of years, clearly. And, it's clear that Greed is not a part of their group. And I'm speaking of the other sins. Or at least up until this point, I've seen, lust and gluttony and envy kind of together. That they're on the same side, fighting for the same cause, working for the same leader, essentially, right? And again, you know, I think that leader might be this father that they've name dropped a few times. Lust specifically has name dropped father. But yeah, you know, I kind of like this. I like this. And you know, it makes sense, doesn't it? These are meant to be sins. Of course, they're not always going to be on the same page. That not all of them are going to be able to mesh together, right? These are the 7 deadly sins. So it makes, to me, it makes a lot of sense that, there's friction, there's divide, different factions, and clearly greed's been doing his or its own thing, right? And he's been around for around 200 years at this point, right? So that in itself kind of adds on to the lore and this intrigue, this mystery of the sins and their creation, right? And then of course, I mentioned this potential leader, who's the creator, right? Again, you kind of have to go towards the stuff that the anime or the story has given me so far. Yeah, I'm leaning towards his father. But yeah, kind of circling back to my initial point about Bradley potentially even being one of these. Yeah, I guess that's my theory, or at least building on my theory. As I've mentioned and I've kind of maintained that, yeah, I'm pretty sure, or have a strong feeling about Bradley being a part of that group or being in on it with the sins, right? Listen, I don't want to repeat myself, but again, he's right at the top. He's right at the top in almost every single episode. This, this conspiracy kind of deepens, doesn't it? Gets more intriguing and interesting by the episode. That everything is coming from the top and the military's a part of all of this, that there is a shadowy underground element to it all, right? That, the military was actually able to kind of pull this off, the chimera, right? The combination, the impossible combination, according to Al. But no, the military's been experimenting, they got it right. And then, that kind of makes you look back at the Shao Tucker and Nina situation, right? He thought he managed something so incredible, right? Yeah, you see here the military already clearly mastered it, right? Or they've done years of this. And of course, recently I found out about their father, or at least more detailed background information about their father, and the things he's tangled up in, or the things he's kind of devoting his years to, or has been devoting these last few years to. The Philosopher's Stone, again, it appears that he is an authority on the matter or on the subject. So how does all of that tie into this? How does their father tie into all of this? Because I certainly believe he does. I do. So, as of this point, that is one of the most exciting prospects of this anime. Their father, his backstory, and all of this, this is exciting. It really is, it's maintaining this overarching, mystery in the background, the overarching plot, yet it's also beautifully executing these mini plots or mini stories or mini story arcs, right, as it moves along. And again, like I mentioned, it has that feeling like a JRPG, doesn't it? Or any sort of RPG. Yes, you have the big, the substantial, the main plot, right? Then you have smaller side quests, right? That also kind of play their part in adding on to the larger story. So yeah, I really love that approach to this. I really do. And I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. As you saw, I was really quite frustrated for that episode to end. And I need more of it, and I need more of it sooner. But yeah, I've got to say the fight scenes, especially just the hand-to-hand combat, CQC, it's been really impressive, right? Again, it goes back to that episode, Lab 5, right? Great fight scene there. And of course, there's actually even a mention, a reference to Slicer, was it? Slicer or Slasher? Slicer, I think. I can't remember the exact thing he said, but he said, "You're a bit slower than my last challenge," something along those lines. But he was alluding to Slicer, right? Who was really quite impressive. But yeah, I'm really digging the fight scenes. They're so fluid, right? So easy on the eyes, right? Really impressive fight scenes or fight sequences in the animation, the art style. And yes, earlier, Ed kind of loses control a bit, as he admits a bit later on, I've cooled down now. Thank you. I've cooled down now. But yeah, you see Greed's comments about Al and his body, they kind of triggered Ed, didn't they? Because, the interesting thing is he himself made similar comments. Yes, it was a joke, right, in passing. But, Al happened to be in that state of mind And he kind of stands up and lets him know, I didn't choose to be in this body. And Ed, since then, of course, he's developed a better understanding. He's got that empathy. He's got that perspective, right? So you see now someone else is kind of implying the same thing. It really gets him agitated, right? Again, he has an understanding for that situation now, his brother's pain, and how he really feels, how he truly feels. So yeah, that was great. That was great for sure. But then, of course, later after, of course, there is a fight. And yeah, Ed takes a beating once again. But, I love how he's quick on his feet, right? He's quick to change tactics in the middle of a fight, right? Reassess the situation and reassess the tactics. And, he was able to kind of figure out that greed strength, this ultimate shield, and that whole aspect of it, it might be his greatest strength, but it's also a chink in the armor that it can be exploited, right? And this anime has kind of leaned into that a few times now, right? The greatest strength also being a weakness, and of course, by the end of it, Sensei shows up, Izumi shows up. Again, I love the dynamic they have. You go to the beginning of the episode, the cold open. She dismisses them, she expels them. That relationship, that mentor pupil teacher student relationship is over, right? It might feel a bit harsh, but I feel like in her position she kind of felt like she had to, right? Yes, she's made the same mistake herself, but again, she is their teacher, she is the sensei, their mentor, and she felt like, yeah, she has to pass this down. But it also kind of opened the gates, or opened the door towards a new type of relationship, as Sig alludes to, right? It's time to start a new dynamic, a new relationship, because of course, she's not disowning them, she's not trying to cut ties. Yes, her approach, it's tough love, but it's love nonetheless. She does have that mama bear energy, doesn't she? She'll come to protect them, to aid them. If they're in danger, she'll come for them, right? She'll come and she'll back them, and she'll be in their corner. But also, speaking of mentors and leaving a mentor, be it by choice, or being forced to leave, there's a lot of that in this, actually, right? There's a bit of a theme here. You've got Roy Mustang, you've got Scar, you've got the Elric brothers. Hell, you even have Greed and his group. But let's kind of focus on the three, Scar, Mustang, and the Elric brothers. Scar, wow. Listen, he knows that his master is correct, that he's right about all of this, that this is not the right path. Remember I mentioned in one of my discussions, and this is around the time Scar first kind of appears on the scene, hate breeds hate, retaliation breeds retaliation, and you see that in that character even then, right? But he's firmly on that path. To him, it feels like he cannot deviate from that, right? Because that is his driving force. So again, there's a lot of similarities, right? You have the Elric brothers, I've talked about their driving force. Ed and his driving force. You've got Mustang and his driving force. This path he's on, and I'm speaking of Scar, this is his driving force. And as of this point, he cannot see himself deviating from that, right? He has to stick to that path, right? That is the pain that drives him. He's not able to let go of that, even if he knows deep inside that his master, Shifu, I believe he said, his sensei is correct about this, right? He even brought up his brother, that your brother would hate this, or that he would have been grieved by this, to see you in this state, in this position. Something along those lines, right? And as soon as master or sensei or Shifu mentions his brother, it transitions to Scar and his arm, right? So clearly, there's some connection there as well. And, I kind of know the ink. I mean, it was noticeable the last time I saw Scar as well, but, once again, it's drawing the audience's attention to that. Clearly, it's important. The only one thing that kind of, rang a bell, Terra, right? That means earth, I believe, or land, or earth, I think. But, before I move on from Scar, I do feel like he'll you know, sooner or later, he'll kind of arrive at that point, a turning point, right? It'll be essentially, I feel like it'll be something major, a major incident that is going to change his perspective, allow him to finally let go, change his path. But I do feel like it'll take some time before he gets to that turning point moment in his story arc. And then of course I mentioned Roy Mustang. He's kind of leaving a mentor as well, the general. To me, it felt like, you know, Mustang's kind of learned everything he could, right? All that he could learn from that general. And also it's kind of bookended nicely by him beating the general in chess. Though of course, you know, it also felt like maybe the general let him win, right? This is my parting gift to you. Though of course another gift is that he gets to bring his own crew, his own squad. And I'm really happy about that. Again, you know, another parallel there, right? You've got Roy Mustang and his crew. You've got Greed and his crew, right? Just like Mustang has trust and this bond with his crew and this trust, you see Greed also has the same trust and bond in his group, right? Yeah, they feel like a bunch of misfits, right? But yeah, you know, Greed is actually really quite fascinating. I like Greed. I did. Yet again, there's another character added to this fantastic roster of characters, right? Now you have Greed and some of his companions, right? Episode by episode is just adding on, you know? I really, really enjoy a lot of these characters. You know, a majority of them I really like. And I really do hope to see more of Greed, and I kind of hope he doesn't die or anything, or it doesn't die anytime soon. But yeah, you know, kind of going back to Greed and his companions, the Chimeras, you know, I loved how they actually, you know, kind of embody all of their animals, right? You've got the snake girl who kind of sneaks into Al's body, and that's just, you know, that imagery is so unsettling, isn't it? Someone inside the suit of armor. You're inside me. You know, she kind of slithers in, of course, right? And then you've got, like I mentioned, you've got the big dude, the big, you know, older Chimera who's made from a cow. Again, you know, the brutish strength and stocky build. You've got the dog, you know, and, you know, after finding out that he is made from a dog, or he came from a dog, you know, that shot of him sniffing his nose as Al is approaching, it makes perfect sense, right? He sniffed him out. And then of course, you know, the really clear one was the lizard, and then there's the alligator. And also, wasn't Greed on one of those posters? You know, it was Scar and two others. I think Greed might have been one of them. I'll have to go back and check, but I feel like, yeah, it could be him. Because, you know, the fur coat, something about the fur coat is ringing a bell. It seemed familiar. But the third one, I'm not sure. Could that be that Yoki guy they showed? I don't know. I'm not sure. He had a similar mustache, didn't he? Could be him, could be someone else entirely. But yeah, this Yoki guy, I'm pretty certain that is Bon Clay-sama from One Piece. The same voice actor. But yeah, this Yoki guy seemed to have some sort of run-in with the Elrics, or Ed specifically. He wanted to take him down. So, you know, there's a bit of a disconnect there. I'm not sure. Maybe they'll get into the backstory of that at some point. But, you know, again, yes, Scar is on a path. He cannot deviate from it. You know, that's his driving force. But also, he saw that he needs to get out of here, right? Because he cannot put these people and his master in danger. His appearance, sorry, not his appearance, his presence is a danger to them, right? So he has to get out of there. He cannot draw attention to these people, these refugees, right? They've gone through enough already. He doesn't need more heat on them, right? And the longer he stays there, the longer more bounty hunters are going to show up, right? So yeah, you know, he did the right thing, of course, getting out of there. Especially given the fact that he's not ready to even give up on his crusade. So if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in early access or full length, consider checking out the Patreon page. And of course, the link for that is in the description and the pinned comment. The pinned comment is always at the top. It has all the updates. You cannot miss it. Also, if you're into social media, Twitter, Instagram, links in the same place. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for your time, as time is precious. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.